Welcome to Forgotten History Daily. I am William, and we journey into one of history's most fascinating and darkest stories. As the autumnal equinox approaches, Americans are about to gather around the table once more, giving thanks for the harvest. But few will stop to consider the unsettling truth behind this festive celebration. Did you know that the iconic image of the first Thanksgiving, painted by N.C. Wyeth in 1928 and forever etched into American consciousness, is a fabrication? But the actual events of 1621, when English colonizers and Native Americans allegedly shared a bountiful feast at Plymouth Colony, have been grossly distorted over time. It's a narrative that has been peddled for centuries, sugarcoating the brutal truth of colonization. The year was 1620, when the Mayflower Compact was signed by William Bradford and his fellow separatists, bound for the New World to establish a community governed by biblical principles. Meanwhile, in Massachusetts Bay, the Wampanoag tribe had already been decimated by disease brought over from Europe, their population reduced from tens of thousands to mere hundreds. Fast forward to November 1621, when the English settlers, struggling to adapt to this unforgiving environment, were still grappling with a winter of sickness. That's when Massasoit, the Wampanoag leader, brokered an uneasy alliance with the English, which would prove pivotal in their survival. But scratch beneath the surface, and the true nature of this harvest celebration becomes evident. The Native American population was dwindling due to disease, displacement, and violence, as settlers continued to encroach upon ancestral lands. This meeting at Plymouth Colony was more a pragmatic gesture of mutual survival than an act of generosity or goodwill. And yet, over time, the myth took hold, obscuring the fact that this very same Thanksgiving represented the beginning of centuries-long devastation, cultural erasure, and intergenerational trauma for Native. Today, as we prepare to commemorate the fourth Thursday of November, the question remains: do we acknowledge the harm inflicted upon these indigenous peoples, or instead perpetuate a sanitized narrative? The myth of the first Thanksgiving has been perpetuated through generations, often with little attention paid to the Wampanoag people who were actually present at that gathering. In fact, their leader, Massasoit, had initially been wary of the English, knowing the devastating impact they had already had on other Native American tribes in the region. However, his decision to form an alliance with them proved crucial for both parties, as it ensured a temporary peace and allowed English to focus on survival. But the relationship between the Wampanoag and English was never truly equal. The English were armed and better equipped to defend themselves, while the Wampanoag were facing immense pressure from disease, encroaching settlements, and their own internal power struggles. This fragile peace would soon begin to fray as the English continued to expand their territory, forcibly removing Native Americans from their ancestral lands. In 1623, King Charles I issued a royal charter that granted the Massachusetts Bay Company a vast tract of land, stretching from the coast to the Pacific Ocean. The Wampanoag and other neighboring tribes were now caught in the crosshairs of colonial ambition, as English settlers began to push further inland. This would lead to the infamous conflict known as King Philip's War, a devastating series of battles that saw Wampanoag warriors fight alongside other Native American tribes against the expanding English colonies. The true scale of destruction and trauma inflicted upon Native American communities during this period is staggering. Disease, forced relocation, violence, and cultural erasure were all part of a grim calculus designed to clear the way for European settlement. By 1690, it's estimated that over 70% of the Wampanoag population had been wiped out by disease alone, leaving only a handful of survivors. The legacy of this dark chapter in American history has not diminished with time. Today, many Native American communities continue to grapple with intergenerational trauma, historical amnesia, and cultural erasure. Their stories, languages, and traditions are often overlooked or marginalized, perpetuating a colonialist narrative that erases the experiences of indigenous peoples. So what does this mean for our modern understanding of Thanksgiving? Does it truly represent a time-honored tradition of gratitude and friendship between us, as popularly portrayed? Or is it rather a celebration of cultural dispossession and historical trauma? As we prepare to gather around the table with family and friends this November, perhaps it's time to ask ourselves, what are the true costs of our celebrations, and whose stories are left out in the telling? We'll continue to explore these questions as we delve deeper into the history behind Thanksgiving. The story of Squanto, the Patuxet man who served as a translator for the English at Plymouth Colony, is often cited as an example of intercultural cooperation and friendship. But there's another side to his story that's rarely told. His brutal capture by European colonizers, his forced assimilation into their, and ultimately, his tragic fate as a middleman in a conflict that would prove devastating. We'll examine the impact of colonialism on indigenous populations, including forced relocation, cultural suppression, and genocide. We'll also explore the ways in which today's celebrations of Thanksgiving continue to perpetuate these dynamics, often with little regard for the historical context or ongoing struggles of Native American communities. Join me next time as we uncover more of the untold history behind this most celebrated holiday, one that has far-reaching implications for our collective understanding of America's founding and the treatment of its indigenous people. As we delve deeper into the world of 17th century New England, let's set aside the nostalgic tales of warm firesides and harvest feasts. We'll leave behind the sanitized versions of history that have come to define our understanding of Thanksgiving. For it was a time of upheaval, of great change, and of unimaginable hardship for the indigenous populations who called this land home. In 1650's Plymouth Colony, the air is thick with the smells of wood smoke, salted meats, and baking bread. The streets are narrow and winding, lined with wooden buildings that seem to lean inwards as if sharing a collective secret. The sound of hammering on metal and the creaking of wooden wheels provide a constant background hum. To our left lies the bustling hub of Plymouth Trading Centre, where merchants haggle over goods from England, woolens, ironware, and slurs. These are the commodities that fuel the growth of this fledgling colony. But for many Native American tribes, they also symbolize encroachment, exploitation, and loss. To our right, untamed wilderness, a realm where ancient forests stretch towards the sky, their canopies filtering sunlight onto the forest floor. This is the domain of the Wampanoag, the Narragansett, and other tribes who have lived in harmony with this land for generations. But as we journey deeper into the 17th century, we begin to see where Native American communities are caught between two irreconcilable worlds, their ancestral lands and their colonial overlords. We're standing on the cusp of a momentous shift, one that will reshape the very fabric of this young nation. By 1650, England's colonization of North America has already claimed over 3 million acres of land. And yet, as we explore this era, it becomes clear that many settlers are not simply driven by a desire to stake their claim on the New World. No, there's something more insidious at play, an ideology born from centuries of European conquest and violence. In 1645, Massachusetts Governor John Winthrop penned an essay entitled A Model of Christian Charity. His words reflect the Puritan ideal, a new Eden in the wilderness, where believers would establish a city upon a hill, shining brightly as an example to all. This is a tantalizing prospect, one that promises redemption and prosperity to those who leave behind the sins of their fathers. But beneath this idyllic veneer lies a brutal reality.
Winthrop's vision for Massachusetts required the forced relocation, conversion, or extermination of Native American populations.
He called it the Great Work, an enterprise driven by zealotry, militarism, and an unyielding commitment to expanding English dominion. We're standing at a crossroads in history, where two cultures are on a collision course, As the seasons change, from autumn's harvest to winter's snows, we begin to see a people caught between tradition and tyranny. Their world is being reshaped by events that will test their resilience, challenge their very identity, and leave an indelible mark on America's collective psyche. As the first frosts of winter settle over Plymouth Colony, a sense of unease pervades the air. Rumors spread of uprisings among Native American tribes, whispers of discontent that threatened to boil over into violence. In 1675, this unease would become a full-blown rebellion known as King Philip's War. For now, though, we'll leave these unfolding events for another time. As we continue our journey through the 17th century, let's explore the world beyond Plymouth Colony, the wider society that shaped the course of Native American history. In 1650s New England, Puritan values govern almost every aspect of life. Communities are tight-knit, with men and women bound together by a strict code of conduct. Women play a vital role in household management, tending to gardens, cooking, and childcare. But their roles within the community are limited. They're largely confined to domestic duties. At the heart of New England's Puritanism lies an intense spirituality, shaped by Calvinist theology and a deep-seated fear of sin. Churchgoers are encouraged to live in accordance with the will of God, but this ideal is tempered by pragmatism and commercial drive. Merchants such as Plymouth Colony's William Bradford trading interests with spiritual duties, a delicate balance that allows them to thrive within this fledgling society. As we walk through 17th century England, it becomes clear that the very notion of Native American is complex and multifaceted.
There are Wampanoag, Narragansett, Mohegan, Iroquois, and others, each with their own distinct culture, language, and traditions.
We'll explore these different communities in coming chapters, examining how colonialism affected their lives, their lands, and their very identities. But for now, let's reflect on the world that we're entering, a time of upheaval, marked by great social change, conflict, and a profound impact on Native American cultures. In 1650s New England, as winter gives way to spring, the atmosphere is charged with an air of expectation. Events are unfolding at a pace that's exhilarating and terrifying for those caught in their midst, settlers and Native Americans alike. What do these events foretell? How will they shape America's future, for good or ill? As we journey through this tumultuous period, one thing becomes clear. The course of history is not a fixed entity, but rather an ever-unfolding tapestry that's woven from countless threads, some fragile, others core. And so we'll continue to weave this narrative, thread by thread. We'll delve deeper into the complexities of colonialism, impacts on Native American populations, and the far-reaching consequences for America itself. As the 1650s unfold, the Plymouth Colony is facing a severe economic downturn. The colony's early successes, built on the backs of English investors and merchant capital, have begun to falter. William Bradford, the colony's governor, is grappling with the realities of debt, scarcity, and the ever-present threat of disease. Despite these challenges, Bradford remains resolute vision for Plymouth Colony, a vision that has always been entwined with his deep-seated Puritanism. Meanwhile, the Wampanoag tribe, led by Chief Massasoit, is struggling to maintain its sovereignty in the face of encroaching English settlements. The Wampanoag had initially formed an alliance with the Plymouth Colony, trading and negotiating a fragile peace. However, as more and more English settlers pour into the region, tensions begin to rise. One man who embodies the complexities of this era is Thomas Mayhew Jr., a Quaker missionary who arrives in Nantucket in 1650. Mayhew's mission is to convert Native Americans to Christianity, but his approach is radical even among his fellow Quakers. He advocates for the Native American tribes' rights to their land and promotes an end to colonialism, earning him both admiration and Sioux Slurion. In Massachusetts Bay Colony, John Winthrop is presiding over a thriving commercial hub that's rapidly expanding its borders. Winthrop, a devout Puritan, sees himself as a champion of English culture and civilization. Yet his leadership is marked by pragmatism and a willingness to bend the rules in pursuit of economic growth. As we continue our journey through 17th century New England, it becomes clear that colonialism has already begun to shape America's history. We're witnessing the displacement of Native American populations, the theft of their lands, and the imposition of foreign cultures upon indigenous peoples. We'll now turn our attention to one of the most pivotal moments in this era, a moment that will forever alter the trajectory of American history, the Little Ice Age of 1658. A series of devastating crop failures, brought on by harsh winters and scorching summers, pushes many Native American communities to the brink of starvation. The Plymouth colony's William Bradford is among those who respond to this crisis with compassion, but also with an unyielding determination to secure his colony's survival at any cost. As we delve into this pivotal moment in history, it becomes clear that the lines between good and evil, right and wrong, are about to become increasingly blurred. This will be a story of resilience and despair, of struggles for power and influence, and ultimately, of how the events of the past continue to shape our world today. The year is 1629, a time of great change and upheaval in the fledgling colonies of New England. The Plymouth colony, led by William Bradford, is facing a severe economic downturn. Crop failures and disease have decimated their livestock, leaving many to wonder if they will be able to survive the coming winter. As we join our story in this tumultuous period, a young man named Alexander stands at the edge of his family's farm, surveying the barren landscape before him. His face is etched with worry, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of hope. He is but one of many who are struggling to make ends meet, their livelihoods threatened by the harsh realities of colonial life. In this era of scarcity and hardships, one commodity stands above all others: land. The Native American tribes have long regarded it as sacred, a gift from the spirits that sustains their people. But the English settlers see it differently, as a resource to be exploited for the benefit of themselves and their investors back in England. As we delve deeper into this complex web of relationships, one name becomes increasingly prominent: John Endicott. A man of great ambition and conviction, he is driven by a burning desire to establish himself as a leading figure in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. With his keen business acumen and strategic mind, he has already begun to amass a small fortune through shrewd land deals and strategic alliances. But Endicott's greatest challenge lies ahead, not just in securing his own fortunes, but in Navicott's greatest challenge lies ahead, not just in securing his own fortunes, but in Navicott's greatest challenge lies ahead. The Wampanoag, led by Chief Massasoit, has long been wary of English encroachment onto their lands. As tensions between the two cultures begin to escalate, Endicott finds himself caught in the middle, a pawn in a much larger game of power and influence. Meanwhile, in the shadows of these events, a quiet drama is unfolding. A young woman named Mary has recently arrived in Plymouth Colony, her family having fled persecution in England. As she begins to build a new life for herself in this unforgiving environment, she finds solace in the company of another newcomer, a man named Robert. Robert's past is shrouded in mystery, but his quiet confidence and resourcefulness soon earn him a reputation as one of the colony's most skilled traders. As he begins to make a name for himself in the business community, whispers begin to circulate about his true loyalties and the favors he may be willing to do for those who possess power. In this atmosphere of suslorion and distrust, it becomes increasingly difficult to discern truth from fiction. Whispers spread like wildfire through the colony. Who is hiding what? Who is secretly plotting with whom? The air is thick with anxiety, as if the very fabric of their community is beginning to unravel. And yet, amidst all this uncertainty, there are those who refuse to be swayed by fear or greed. They hold fast to their principles. even when it seems that the world around them has lost its way. These are the voices that will guide us through the tumultuous years ahead, a time of upheaval and transformation, marked by both great courage and unimaginable cruelty. We find ourselves at a turning point in American history, a moment when the fragile balance between cultures teeters on the brink of collapse. As we navigate this complex landscape, one thing becomes clear: the fate of the Plymouth colony hangs precariously in the balance, dependent on the whims of its leaders, the resilience of its people, and the unfolding. In the years ahead, we will witness both breathtaking triumphs and heart-wrenching tragedies. We will encounter individuals who embody the very best and worst of human nature. Men and women driven by power, greed, and ambition, but also those who stand steadfast in their convictions, fighting for justice. As we embark on this journey through history, let us remember that the stories we are about to recount are not just the stuff of dusty archives and forgotten lore. They are our own, woven from the threads of human experience, with all its messy, complex contradictions and unyielding passions. As the seasons passed, the Plymouth colony continued to struggle, beset on all sides by challenges that seemed insurmountable. The Wampanoag tribe, who had initially befriended the English settlers, began to feel increasingly uneasy about their presence. The colonists' growing dependence on the land and its resources led to a deepening sense of resentment among the native population. Tensions stood just below the surface, waiting to erupt into violence. Meanwhile, the leadership of the colony remained divided and ineffective. William Bradford, the governor of Plymouth colony, to maintain control as rival factions within the community vied for power. Some, like Thomas Morton, a wealthy newt who had invested heavily in the colony's success, pushed for greater independence from English authority. Others, led by Miles Standish, the colony's military commander, advocated for a more aggressive approach towards the native populations. As these divisions deepened, Bradford found himself increasingly isolated and powerless to stop the descent into chaos. The Wampanoag leader, Massasoit, who had formed an alliance with the English in 1621, began to question whether his people's trust in the colonists was misplaced. The fragile peace that had been forged between the two cultures seemed on the verge of collapse. It was against this backdrop of uncertainty and tension that a new challenge emerged: the arrival of a second ship from England, carrying supplies and fresh recruits for the struggling colony. Among the passengers were several members of the Leiden congregation, who would play a pivotal role in shaping the future of Plymouth colony. Their arrival sparked a heated debate about the true intentions of these newcomers. Were they genuinely seeking to establish a new home, or did they harbor ulterior motives? As we explore this pivotal moment in American history, it becomes clear that the events unfolding in Plymouth colony are not simply isolated incidents, but rather symptoms of a far deeper crisis. The clash between cultures, the struggle for power and resources, these were all part of a broader narrative, one that would continue to shape the course of American history for generations to come. In the midst of this turmoil, we find the story of a young Wampanoag woman named Weetamoo, who had grown up in the shadow of the Plymouth colony. Her father, a respected leader among his people, had allied with Massasoit and worked closely with the English to maintain peace. But as tensions escalated, Weetamoo found herself caught in the middle, torn between her loyalty to her tribe and her friendship with some of the colonists. As we follow Weetamoo's story, we begin to see the Plymouth colony through a new lens, one that reveals not just the triumphs and struggles of its people, also the profound impacts they had on the native population. The fate of the colony hung in the balance, dependent on the delicate dance between cultures, power, and chance. In the coming chapters, we will delve deeper into this complex web of relationships, examining the choices made by individuals like William Bradford, Thomas Morton, and Weetamoo, choices that would have far-reaching consequences. The story of Thanksgiving, we discover, is not simply a nostalgic tale of gratitude and abundance, but rather a nuanced exploration of human nature in all its complexity, with all its attendant triumphs and tragedies. As the seasons passed, tensions between the Plymouth colony and the Wampanoag Confederacy continued to simmer just below the surface. The fragile peace forged in 1621 was beginning to fray at the edges, and it seemed only a matter of time before something would trigger a full-blown conflict. In April 1630, a series of skirmishes broke out along the coast of Massachusetts as English fishermen clashed with Wampanoag canoes. The violence was minor at first, but it served as a stark reminder of the deep-seated distrust that had been building between the two cultures for months. "We're walking on thin ice here," warned William Bradford's deputy, Isaac Allerton, in a letter to his friend Thomas Dudley back in England. "The Wampanoag are getting restless, and I fear it won't be long before they turn on us." Nearby colony of Massachusetts Bay, a new governor was arriving with grand ambitions. John Winthrop, a wealthy and theologian from London, had been chosen to lead the colony by King Charles himself. His arrival marked the beginning of a new era for the Puritans, who saw themselves as God's elect, destined to build a new Jerusalem in the New World. As Winthrop settled into his role, he began to assert his authority over the smaller colonies, including Plymouth and Wampanoag. He saw himself as a statesman, tasked with establishing order and stability in the chaotic world of colonial America. But his actions were not without controversy. Winthrop's vision for the New Jerusalem was one of strict discipline and moral rigor, where anyone deemed unworthy would be punished or even expelled from the community. The Wampanoag, who had grown accustomed to a more relaxed way of life under Massasoit's leadership, began to worry that they were being pushed out of their own land. "We are not savages," protested Nanapasha May, a respected elder among the Wampanoag, in a private meeting with Winthrop. "We have our own ways and customs. Why must you try to impose your English values on us?" Winthrop's response was firm but courteous. He explained that his intentions were pure. He wanted only to establish a harmonious community where both the English and Wampanoag could thrive together. But as the days turned into weeks, it became clear that Winthrop's vision for the New Jerusalem was not one of harmony, but rather one of assimilation. He began to push for the creation of praying towns, where Wampanoag converts to Christianity would be encouraged to live alongside English settlers, adopting their customs and ways. For Weetamoo, this development spelled disaster. She had seen firsthand how the praying towns worked. They were little more than forced labor camps, where Wampanoags were pressured into converting to a Christianity that was alien to them. And now, Winthrop's plan threatened to upend the very fabric of her people's society. "What will become of us?" she whispered to her sister, Awashongs, as they huddled together in their family home. "Will we be forced to abandon our own way of life, just so the English can say they've civilized us?" As the months dragged on, Weetamoo found herself increasingly isolated from both her Wampanoag kin and the English. She was torn between her loyalty to her people, who were being pushed out of their land, and her friendship with some of the colonists, who seemed to genuinely believe in Winthrop's vision for a harmonious community. It was a time of great turmoil, when even the smallest misstep could spark a chain reaction of violence. As Weetamoo navigated this treacherous landscape, she began to realize that her own survival and that of her people depended on her ability to navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that had developed between the "We are caught in a trap," she confided to Awashons one night. "A trap set by our own desire for peace and our failure to see the true intentions of those who seek to do us harm." As they spoke, a sudden gust of wind swept through their family home, extinguishing. The sisters sat in silence, listening to the howling storm outside. "It's as if the very spirits are warning us," Awashons whispered finally. "We must be careful, Weetamoo. Our world is changing, and we don't know what the future holds." And yet, even as they spoke these words of caution, Weetamoo knew that she would not be able to escape the fate that was unfolding around her. She was caught in a maelstrom of conflicting loyalties and desires, a storm from which there seemed no escape. As the seasons changed and winter descended on the New World, Weetamu's story became increasingly intertwined with the lives of those around her. The fragile peace between the English and Wampanoag was about to be shattered, and when it was, nothing would ever be the same again. The winter of 1623 was a turning point in Weetamu's life. The harsh weather had brought food shortages, and tensions were running high between the English colonists and the Wampanoag. Winthrop's vision for a harmonious community seemed to be crumbling, as both sides began to blame each other for their misfortunes. As Weetamu navigated these treacherous waters, she found herself increasingly at odds with her own people. The Wampanoag sachems were divided on how to respond to the English encroachment, and Weetamu's attempt to mediate between them and the colonists only seemed to make things worse. Meanwhile, the English settlers were growing restless, frustrated by their lack of progress in establishing a thriving colony. They began to blame the Wampanoag for their woes, and rumors started circulating about the savagery of the Native Americans. The stage was set for disaster, as both sides dug in their heels and refused to listen to reason. Weetamu's friend, Massasoit's son, Metacomet, had returned from his diplomatic mission to the English with a heavy heart. He was horrified by what he saw, the way the colonists were treating the Wampanoag, forcing them off their land and exploiting their resources for their own gain. Metacomet's disillusionment had a profound impact on Weetamu. She began to see that her efforts to maintain peace were in vain, as both sides seemed determined to destroy each other. For the first time, she wondered if the Wampanoag had made a terrible mistake by allying themselves with the English. One fateful evening, Metacomet arrived at Weetamu's home, his face darkened by concern. "Weetamu," he said urgently, "I have received news from one of our scouts. The colonists are planning to move beyond the agreed boundaries into our ancestral lands. If we do not stop them, it will be war." We knew that Metacomet was right. She also knew that she had been naive to think that the English could be trusted. As they spoke, a sense of inevitability settled over her. The fragile peace between their peoples would soon shatter, and when it did, nothing would ever be the same again. The next morning, Weetamu rose before dawn, feeling a sense of foreboding. She knew that she had to warn her people, but how could she? The English were already on the move, pushing deeper into Wampanoag territory. The die was cast, and there would be no turning back. As she walked through the still dark forest, Weetamu felt a sense of despair wash over her. She thought of her father, of Massasoit's words, and of the sacrifices they had all made in the name of peace. And she wondered if it had been worth it. This attempt to bridge two worlds that seemed destined to collide. The day was young, but Weetamu knew that it would be a day like no other. A day that would forever change the course of their history and seal the fate of her people. As Weetamu walked through the forest, the silence was oppressive. The trees seemed to loom over her, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching out to snatch at her clothes. She quickened her pace, her heart pounding in her chest. She had to warn her people, but how? The English were moving deeper into Wampanoag territory, and she knew that if they weren't stopped, it would be war. Weetamu's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of rustling leaves behind her. She turned to see a young boy, no more than 10 years old, from the underbrush. He was one of her cousin's children, and he looked terrified. "Weetamu," he whispered urgently, "I've seen them. I saw the English. They're coming for us." Weetamu's heart went out to the child. She knew that she had to keep him safe. But how? The English were notorious for their cruelty towards children and women. She knelt down beside him, trying to reassure him with a gentle touch. "What did you see?" she asked softly. The boy hesitated, looking around nervously as if he feared being overheard. "I was out gathering berries," he said finally, "and I saw them. They were driving out the deer, taking their animals and crops for themselves." Weetamu's eyes narrowed. This was exactly what she had been afraid of. The English pushing deeper into Wampanoag territory, taking advantage of their hospitality. "Where are they?" she asked the boy, trying to keep her voice steady. The child nodded towards a nearby ridge. "They're setting up camp," he said. "I saw them building shelters and fires. They seem to be preparing for something big." Weetamu's mind was racing. She knew that she had to act fast, but what could she do? The Wampanoag sachems were divided, and Metacomet was away on a diplomatic mission. She was alone. As she stood up, the boy tugged at her sleeve. "Weetamu," he said hesitantly. "Yes? What about Squanto?" he asked. "My mother says he's not what we thought he was." Weetamu's eyes widened in surprise. This was a bombshell, a revelation that could change everything. She knew that the boy was referring to Thomas Savage, also known as Squanto, one of the Wampanoag who had been taken captive by the English and had spent years learning their language. "What do you mean?" she asked. Her curiosity piqued. The boy hesitated again before speaking in a barely audible whisper. "My mother says he's working for them now, helping them to get what they want from us." Weetamu felt a shiver run down her spine. Could it be true? She had always assumed that Squanto was genuinely trying to help the Wampanoag, but now she wondered if she had been naive. As she stood there, weighing her options, Weetamu knew that she couldn't trust anyone, not even those who seemed closest to her heart. The English were manipulating everyone, playing on their fears and divisions. The realization hit her like a sledgehammer. The Wampanoag were being betrayed from within. Squanto's betrayal was only one part of a larger web of deceit that had been spun by the English. In that moment, Weetamu knew that she couldn't keep fighting for peace. The die was cast, and it was time to take a stand. She made a decision then and there to join forces with Metacomet to fight back against the English encroachment. It was a turning point in history, one that would change the course of their lives forever.
Weetamu's defiance would ignite a spark that would eventually burn out of control, leading to one of the bloodiest wars in American history, King Philip's War, also known as Metacomet's War, which would claim the lives of thousands.
In 1675, Weetamu would become one of the leaders of this resistance, fighting bravely against overwhelming odds. She would eventually fall to an English arrow, but not before leading her people in a fierce battle that would be remembered for generations. As Weetamu walked away from the boy, she knew that she had to warn Metacomet about Squanto's betrayal. But as she thought back on their conversations, she realized that there were other forces at play. English agents who had infiltrated Wampanoag society, manipulating events from behind the scenes. Weetamu's mind was a maelstrom of questions and doubts. Who could she trust? What secrets lay hidden beneath the surface? As she disappeared into the forest, her thoughts turned to the future. She knew that war was coming, not just between the English and Wampanoag, but also within their own ranks. The seeds of discord had been sown, and they would soon sprout into a deadly harvest. The events of 1623 to 1675 were merely a prologue to a darker chapter in American history, one that would be marked by bloodshed, betrayal, and tragedy on an epic scale. But for now, Weetamu's personal struggle was about to ignite the powder keg of conflict. In modern parlance, this story would be described as a perfect storm of greed, power struggles, cultural misunderstandings, and treachery, all swirling together in a toxic mix that would forever parallel with today's world at eerie. Think of Trump's America, where xenophobia, nativism, and divisive rhetoric have taken hold. Think of our own internal debates about identity, power, and what it means to be American. Weetamu's story is a reminder that history is not just a series of dry dates and dusty facts, but a living, breathing narrative that continues to shape our lives today. As we navigate the complexities of our modern world, Weetamu's courage and defiance serve as a powerful warning. Beware the forces that seek to divide us, manipulate our fears, and exploit our resources. In the words of historian Howard Zinn, the past is not just a series of discrete events, but an ongoing narrative of struggle, resistance, and survival. As Weetamoo vanished into the forest, her thoughts, she knew that she had to tread carefully, for in the complex web of alliances and rivalries between the Wampanoag and their English allies, allegiances were shifting like sand dunes in a storm. The English, led by Governor William Bradford, had been trying to expand their settlements beyond Plymouth Rock, but they faced stiff resistance from the Wampanoag's powerful leader, Massasoit. Weetamoo's brother, Metacomet, also known as King Philip, was a rising star in Wampanoag politics, and his influence was growing by the day. Weetamoo's disappearance sent shockwaves through the English settlement. Bradford, still reeling from the loss of Squanto, was particularly concerned. He saw Weetamoo as a key bridge between their cultures, and her absence threatened to unravel the fragile peace that had held since the arrival of the Mayflower. Meanwhile, Weetamoo's family and friends were frantically searching for her. They scoured the forests, questioned Wampanoag informants, and even sent emissaries to the English settlement, but there was no sign of their beloved sister or cousin. As the days turned into weeks, tensions between the Wampanoag and English continued to escalate. Bradford's men had been expanding their settlements, pushing deeper into Wampanoag territory, and taking control of vital resources such as game and farmland. Metacomet, initially supported the alliance with the English, was growing increasingly disillusioned. He saw the English as invaders, exploiting Wampanoag resources while offering little in return. Weetamoo's disappearance had finally convinced him that the English could not be trusted. In a series of meetings with his advisors, Metacomet made the fateful decision to turn against the English. The stage was set for a catastrophic conflict, one that would forever change the course of American history. The events that followed were as tragic as they were preventable. A series of skirmishes and ambushes between Wampanoag warriors and English settlers broke out, culminating in the devastating King Philip's War, which ravaged the Northeast for 3 years. Metacomet, who had once been a key ally to the English, was hunted down and killed by Captain Benjamin Church, a ruthless English commander. His head was displayed as a trophy on the outskirts of Plymouth Rock, a grim reminder of the violence that had engulfed the region. Weetamoo's disappearance, though still shrouded in mystery, became a turning point in this tragic narrative. Some historians believe she was taken captive by the English and forced to walk among them as an Indian servant, while others speculate that she may have been driven mad by her experiences and disappeared into the forest. Whatever the truth may be, Weetamoo's fate serves as a poignant reminder of the devastating consequences of cultural misunderstanding, colonialism, and greed. As we celebrate Thanksgiving today, let us not forget the lives lost, the cultures erased, and the tragedies that have been hidden beneath the surface of this revered holiday. The devastating consequences of King Philip's War continue to reverberate throughout the colonies for generations to come. The conflict had left deep scars, not only on the Wampanoag people, but also on the English settlers who had been caught in the crossfire. The once promising alliance between the two cultures lay in tatters, replaced by a legacy of mistrust and violence. In the years that followed, the English continued to expand their settlements, pushing westward into Native American territories with little regard for the consequences. The Wampanoag, led by Metacomet's successor, Weetamoo's cousin Sassaman, struggled to maintain control over their lands as English colonization accelerated. By 1685, the Wampanoag had been forced to cede much of their territory to the English, setting the stage for further displacement and marginalization. As the colonies entered a period of rapid growth and expansion, the English government began to take a more active in managing the relationship between settlers and Native Americans. In 1701, the British Crown issued the Proclamation of 1701, which prohibited English settlement west of the Appalachian Mountains. However, this measure was largely ineffective, as settlers continued to push beyond the designated boundaries. leading to further conflict with Native American tribes. One of the most significant long-term consequences of King Philip's War was the decline of the Wampanoag population. Many had been killed or displaced during the conflict, while others were forced to assimilate into English culture, losing their traditional ways and identities in the process. By the mid-18th century, the Wampanoag had dwindled from a thriving nation of over 12,000 people to just a few hundred. The legacy of King Philip's War can also be seen in the rise of colonialism and imperialism throughout North America. As English settlers continued to expand their territories, they brought with them new systems of government, economy, and culture that would have far-reaching consequences for Native American communities. The seeds of colonization had been sown. It takes centuries for the effects to fully manifest. As we delve deeper into the history of King Philip's War, we are met with a series of unanswered questions. What exactly happened to Wampanoag? Did she truly disappear into the forest? Or was she taken captive by the English? The truth may never be known, but her story serves as a poignant reminder of the devastating consequences of cultural misunderstanding and colonialism. Despite the passage of time, the lessons of King Philip's War remain relevant today. As we navigate our increasingly complex world, we would do well to remember the importance of empathy, trust, and respect in relationships between different cultures and communities. One practical lesson Americans can apply to their lives is the need for critical thinking when confronted with dominant narratives or ideologies. We must be willing to question the stories that are presented to us and seek out alternative perspectives, just as historians have done in uncovering the true story of King Philip's War. Another key takeaway from this chapter in American history is the importance of protecting ourselves from the influence of power and greed. The English settlers who pushed beyond the boundaries set by their government were motivated by a desire for wealth and land, rather than a genuine concern for the well-being of Native American communities. Today, we must be vigilant against similar forces that seek to exploit and divide us. In addition to these lessons, Americans can also learn from the example of Governor William Bradford, who initially sought to establish a fair and equitable relationship with the Wampanoag. While his actions were ultimately ineffective in preventing the outbreak of King Philip's War, they demonstrate the importance of humility and empathy in leadership. We would do well to remember that true power comes not from dominance or control, but from understanding and respect. Finally, we must consider the role of government in shaping our relationships with other cultures and communities. The English government's failure to effectively manage the relationship between settlers and Native Americans led directly to the devastation of King Philip's War. Today, as governments continue to grapple with issues of immigration, identity, and community relations, they would do well to learn from this painful history. In conclusion, the story of King Philip's War serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of colonialism, cultural misunderstanding, and greed. As we look to the future, we must be willing to confront these lessons head-on and apply them to our lives in practical ways. By doing so, we may yet learn from the mistakes of the past and create a more just and equitable society for all. And as we reflect on this painful chapter in American history, let us forget the countless individuals who were caught up in its midst. Wampanoag, Metacomet, Sassaman, and countless others whose stories, their legacies are testament to the enduring power of culture and community, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. The story of King Philip's War may be a dark one, but it is also a reminder that our collective history is complex, multifaceted, and often painful. Yet, it is precisely this complexity that holds the key to our growth and understanding as individuals and as a society. By embracing this complexity, we may yet learn to navigate the challenges of our own time with greater empathy, wisdom, and compassion. And so, as we move forward into an uncertain future, let's carry with us the lessons of King Philip's War. Lessons that will guide us in our relationships with one another, with our communities, and with the natural world itself.
For it is only by confronting our mistakes and embracing our complexities that we may yet create a brighter, more just, and more equitable world for all. As we move forward from this painful chapter in American history, it's essential to acknowledge that the legacy of King Philip's War continues to reverberate across the country. The trauma inflicted upon the Wampanoag people during this period has had a lasting impact on their community, as well as on other Native American tribes who were subjected to similar colonization and violence throughout America. In recent years, efforts have been made to come to terms with this dark past. In 1990, Massachusetts Governor William Weld issued an official apology for the state's role in King Philip's War. Similar apologies have been offered by other government leaders and institutions, including the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the city of Plymouth, where the infamous Pilgrim landing occurred. However, these gestures of regret are just a starting point. Many Native American communities continue to face significant challenges related to poverty, housing, healthcare, and education. These disparities are often exacerbated by the historical trauma inflicted upon their ancestors during King Philip's War and other colonial-era conflicts. One prominent example is the issue of land rights. Despite efforts to preserve and honor Native American cultural heritage sites, these lands remain under threat from development projects, mining operations, and other encroachments. This is a direct legacy of the colonial era, when European settlers sought to seize control of Native American territory for their own purposes. In fact, some 22% of all Indian reservations in the United States are located in or near areas where King Philip's War took place. These communities continue to grapple with issues such as land loss, poverty, and cultural erasure, the very same challenges faced by Weetamoo, Metacomet, and other Wampanoag leaders during their fight against colonialism. To address these ongoing issues, it's essential for governments and institutions to engage in meaningful partnerships with Native American communities. This includes acknowledging and honoring the historical trauma inflicted upon these nations, as well as providing tangible support for their economic development, education, and cultural preservation efforts. One promising example of this type of collaboration is the work being done by organizations like the Wampanoag Tribe's Department of Natural Resources. Under the leadership of Tribal Historic Preservation Officer Eric Peterson, the department has developed innovative programs to preserve traditional practices such as farming, hunting, and fishing. Essential to the well-being of these efforts also include the development of cultural tourism initiatives that allow visitors to engage in authentic experiences with Wampanoag people. By creating these types of opportunities for meaningful interaction, organizers hope to promote cross-cultural understanding and respect while generating revenue to support tribal economic development. The importance of these partnerships cannot be overstated. As we continue to grapple with issues related to immigration, identity, and community relations, it's crucial that we listen to the voices of Native American communities, rather than simply paying lip service to them. By doing so, we may yet learn from the past and create a brighter future for all. As the historian David Brumble notes in his book, An AZ of Native Americans, the history of King Philip's War is not just about war or violence, it's also about identity, who we are, where we come from. As we conclude our examination of the real story behind America's most celebrated holiday, it becomes clear that the key lesson from this narrative is that the wounds of history can only be truly healed when we acknowledge and address the Wampanoag people's struggle to preserve their land rights, cultural practices, and identity is a testament to the resilience of indigenous communities in the face of centuries-old injustices. And yet, despite these efforts, the spectre of historical trauma continues to haunt Native American populations, with many communities facing significant challenges related to poverty, healthcare, and education. As we move forward into an uncertain future, it's essential that we listen to the voices of those who have been silenced by history, including the Wampanoag people, whose experiences serve as a powerful reminder of the need for by acknowledging our collective past and engaging in meaningful partnerships with Native American communities, we may yet create a brighter future for all. So I ask you, dear listeners, what can you do today to help dismantle the legacy of colonialism and forced assimilation that continues to impact Native American populations? Can you share this story with someone who needs to hear it? Perhaps a family member or friend who has been complicit in perpetuating stereotypes about Native Americans. The work ahead of us is great, but it's only by confronting our shared past that we can begin to forge a more equitable society for all. And so, I urge you, continue to explore the forgotten histories of America and its peoples, not just on Thanksgiving Day, but every day. If this story opened your eyes, subscribe to Forgotten History Daily. Every week we uncover the stories they don't want you to know. Until next time, stay informed, and never stop asking questions. As we delve deeper into the complexities of America's history, it's essential to understand that the impact of colonialism and forced assimilation extends far beyond the borders of New England. The Wampanoag peoples are part of a broader narrative of indigenous displacement and marginalization that has shaped the United States from its inception. From the Pacific Northwest to the Southwest, Native American communities have faced centuries of trauma, oppression, and cultural erasure. The legacy of Manifest Destiny, the 19th century ideology that fueled westward expansion and justified the rule of Native Americans from their ancestral lands, continues to reverberate through the present day. Consider the story of the Diné people, also known as the Navajo Nation. Their ancestors were forcibly relocated from Arizona and New Mexico to a desolate reservation in eastern Utah during the 19th century. This traumatic event, known as the Long Walk of the Diné, resulted in the deaths of thousands of people and the destruction of their traditional way of life. Fast forwards to the day, and the Navajo Nation still grapples with the aftermath of this historical trauma. Poverty rates are staggering, 30% of the population living below the poverty line. Access to clean water, healthcare, and education remains a challenge, with many Diné communities lacking basic infrastructure. But it's not just economic struggles that plague Native American populations. Cultural erasure is another pervasive issue, as tribal traditions and languages are systematically marginalized or ignored. For example, according to a 2020 report by the US Census, nearly 1/3 of Native Americans speak an indigenous language at home, down from over 50% in the 1990s. So what can be done to address these issues? One crucial step is acknowledging and honoring the sovereignty of Native American nations. This means recognizing their right to self-governance, cultural preservation, and land ownership, principles enshrined in the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. In recent years, there has been a growing movement among indigenous communities to reclaim their stories, languages, and cultures. From language revitalization programs to tribal-run educational institutions, Native Americans are working tirelessly to preserve their heritage. One notable example is the Wampanoag Trail, a network of educational centers and cultural institutions in Maine that promote indigenous language and culture preservation. Founded by the Passamaquoddy tribe, the trail has grown to include over 20 communities across New England, with a focus on providing culturally relevant education and economic opportunities for Native Americans. As we explore these stories, it's essential to recognize the importance of cross-cultural understanding and collaboration. When non-Native Americans engage with indigenous communities as allies rather than outsiders, incredible progress can be made. Take the case of the Mashantucket Pequot tribe in Connecticut, which has partnered with local universities to develop culturally sensitive curricula for education students. By engaging with these stories and supporting indigenous-led initiatives, we can begin to dismantle the legacy of colonialism and forced assimilation that has haunted Native
a forced assimilation that has haunted Native American populations. This requires a willingness to listen from and amplify the voices of those who have been silenced by history, including the Wampanoag people, whose resilience and determination serve as a powerful reminder. In the next episode of Forgotten History Daily, we'll explore another pivotal moment in America's past, the 1890 massacre at Wounded Knee, where the US Army killed over 100 of Mifflin Sioux. Join us as we delve into this dark chapter in American history and examine its ongoing impact on Native American communities today.